Hey guys, Bill Krackomberger, Alan Boston from the Westgate over here. 109 juice here throughout the rest of the tournament on sides. Doesn't sound like a lot, but hey, 109 instead of 110. 108 on NBA. I don't know anyone that can beat NBA sides though, especially at this time of the season. It's very tough to beat long term. So, Alan, we had a nice big crowd first time. We announced it weeks ahead of time. Had guys flying in from all over the country. We appreciate them. We have a nice couple guys here now watching. I just put it up on Twitter yesterday. First show, great response. Over 13,000 views on Twitter alone, not to mention the other platforms. Alan, I watched the game over. I watched the podcast over today for the third time. So I had Alan at 9-5 on his sides and 3-3 on leans. Of course, I don't really like to talk about bad beats, but I think UCLA was a very bad beat. And I watched back the show, and I actually talked about the money line there, though I didn't bet the money line. I had -5 on the game. Terrible beat. They gave up 3 threes in the last minute. I mean, dribbling off your knee. I mean, there's so many things that happened there. But that would have been nice to go 10-4. However, we'll take 9-5 anytime. The big bet, St. Louis all in. There was a couple other all-ins. TCU, I think, all in. Siena was a bet. I mean, he had some really nice bets. Everything went well. So Alan, unfortunately, Alan got a little sick out here though, but he's still hanging with us, and he'll be with us for at least one more day. He's leaving town tomorrow, but I was happy enough that he would stick around to do this. Alan, you feeling all right?
From out of my deathbed, yep. I think it was food poisoning, but we're not sure. But we're hanging in there. It was a little bit of a foggy weekend, so I probably won't have as much to say as I normally would because I was in bed dying the weekend.
All right, let's start right out. Thursday, we're going to the Sweet 16 here. We're going by the lined games, not the time starts. So we're going to start out with the first game, 6-14. Houston opened up a 2.5-point favorite, up to 3.5 over Illinois.
Both teams have had easy draws with favorable matchups. A&M was a horrible matchup for what Houston does, and Houston rolled in both. Illinois, an uber-talented team that at times seems to lose their mind. And my power rating has the game 2, and I'm pretty confident that that's about the right number. What troubles me, because I kind of want to bet Illinois, I think they're a little more talented, they're a little older, I like the Houston coach more. And I saw Illinois lose their minds when Michigan pressured them a little bit, and they started taking a lot of bad shots. And against Houston, that's just a recipe for disaster. So I'll be passing this one.
All right.
Although if you put a gun to my head, it would be Illinois.
All right, let's go on to the next one.
I do think they have the more talented team.
And the next line.
And the older team, which matters.
And that game's in Houston. Does that mean anything for Houston? No. Okay.
Plenty of time to get there, plenty of time to get acclimated. Neither team plays on the court, so there's no familiarity.
No, I meant like Houston being home. You know, Houston.
Yeah,
it's not a big edge.
I don't think it matters. No, it's not their home court, so.
Not their home court, but it's in the Toyota Center.
So they're not comfortable with the shooting lines or the court, how it handles, and there'll be plenty of fans screaming for Illinois.
All right, Nebraska over Iowa here. Nebraska 1.5 or 2 on the screen here.
They played twice during the year. They're both in the whatever conference that is now. It's called the Big Ten, but there's about 60 teams. So it's kind of a strange name that maybe they should update. Or maybe not, since it's all just doesn't matter anyway. It's just all a bunch of bullshit. The first game, Nebraska went to Iowa and beat them, I think, 52-51 again. This is all foggy to me. And then the last game of the year in a complete lame duck game for Iowa, when Nebraska was faltering a little bit. A game that I thought Iowa might not care about. They went to Nebraska, blew a lead, and then went on and won in overtime. And if you take the point spreads in those games, Nebraska was approximately 2 better. But my line's pick. Iowa was just uber impressive. They had a brutal draw. Clemson and Florida, that's a really, really tough draw to get through. And just their win over Florida was uber impressive. Yes, Florida kind of lost their minds, but still, Iowa had a lot to do with it. Their point guard Sturts never makes a mistake. What a joy to watch. the coach is elite. You know, maybe he's proving to maybe be the best in this tournament. I know Hoiberg is revered. They were very fortunate in the Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt had a lot of looks that they normally would make that they missed. Yes, during the year, Nebraska would have been favored both times, but I think in a one-off setting where coaching matters a ton more, I would prefer to go with McCollum over Hoiberg. And my lean is to Iowa +2, and I actually kind of think the line's going to go up, so the bet would get bigger if the line went up.
Pinnacle just went to 2. They went from 1.5 to 2.
I've been against Nebraska every game, so I think this line goes up.
Amapola, some of the books that I respect on my screen, Amapola, primary market, I have odds logic up, and that's the order I have them in, actually. So, all right, so that game looks like
I
it's
think
going
you'll see
to
2.5, and then you buy 3, and pretty decent bet.
Okay, so if it goes to 2.5, +3, -20 only, you're not
-22 you can go to.
Okay, 22.
And I would expect that would be a very good bet.
Alan, there's a guy that's on Twitter, and I know we've answered it, but he asked me, and a second person, I put their names on here. I'm not going to mention their names, but both guys asked me.
Oh, it's not the guy who's criticizing my SMU pick?
No, it's David Liberatore. He said, hey, can you please ask Alan for me why, again, to buy the 2, 3, and 5? Why to buy onto the number?
So, number one, I don't like losing any game by half a point. So that's kind of a good reason to buy a half a point. Number two, and I'm not so sure for the layman they should do this, but for someone who picks a higher percentage of winners than on average, I think buying half points is more worthwhile. You could think of it this way. If I think a game should be 6, you could buy down to 5 and lay, in some places, 120, 130. So you lay 20 cents more. But to buy to 4, they would start charging more than 10 cents on the third half-point buy and the fourth half-point buy. You can't buy 4 half points anymore anywhere in this world, because the more you buy, the more that half point becomes more valuable. So where if I have a game 6 and it's 3.5, it's not like I'm buying 3.5 to 3. It's like I'm buying from 6 down to 3, because I think the game should be 6. And therefore, since I'm buying, and I'm technically not buying, but this is how the only way I can explain it where you think about it properly, is that 6th half point I'm buying, which is what it is, 6 down to 3, that half point is worth a lot more because my number is 6 than if you're just some person who just feels like laying 3.5 in a game. Now you're spending 12 cents on a half point 3, and that's probably what it's worth. But to me, where the more points you buy, the more valuable they come. I'm buying like a 6th half point, and therefore it's worth about 30 cents. So I'm stealing by laying 12 cents. I don't have to be right on that. That's just how I think about it.
Some of the local books still will let you buy from like 5.5 down to 3 and like $1.50. Buying
you do it all day. It's worth more than that.
Yeah. That's
maybe we shouldn't advertise that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
some of your compadres are like that. They'll blab about how smart they are.
All right, let's go on to the next game. Game 6-18. Purdue opened up 7.5, and they're about 7. There's a couple 6.5s now on Texas Purdue.
Yeah, I'd only have the favorite. I'm not a Texas fan. The BYU game was a joke. BYU didn't try, or was so ineptly coached that they looked like they weren't trying. That's what happens when you pay some prima donna $2 million. He doesn't feel like defending or moving without the ball. Yes, that's you, AJ DeSanta. So that win was nothing, and then the Gonzaga win, which technically is a good win. I probably had Gonzaga wildly overrated because number one, it's Gonzaga, but maybe the injury to Braden Huff is, I guess, his name. I don't remember names. And the kid Worley has not been playing at 100%. I guess he's the best defender, and maybe he matters a little more. And maybe I should have taken the struggle against Kennesaw in the first round a little more seriously, because I did love Gonzaga in the second round against Texas. So I think it was more Gonzaga was overrated than Texas is all of a sudden becoming some great team. They had some moments during the year that were pretty good. They went to Connecticut and played them tough, but Connecticut was coming off a series of big wins, so I'm not even giving them credit for that. I make the game like 8, maybe 8.5. And with Purdue's experience in this tournament, and Kaufman Red and Braden Smith, and now I'm not good with names, but they have a bunch of guys who've been this through before, and they seem to be playing a little better than during the year. Both their top guys, Smith and Kaufman Red, had minor injuries during the year that they were just going to have to play through. It seems like Kaufman Red's been withstanding some of the banging. He doesn't really get the benefit of the refs. He seems to get mauled quite a bit with no calls being made. But I don't think Texas has the talent to make Purdue's life miserable, and there's few better than Matt Painter. So I lean to Purdue.
All right. Let's go on to the final game for Thursday, final line game. Arizona, Arkansas. Arizona, 7.5 and 8 on the screen.
Yeah, so Arizona had the walkover in the first round, and then had Utah State 18 down. Utah State team I loved. And now the game's down to 4 with 4 to go, and the shot clock's winding down, and here's the Arizona guy throwing in a prayer as the shot clock expired, and they go on to win by 12. That was a miracle shot. If it doesn't go in, who knows if Arizona's even in this tournament. So props to them for holding on, but Utah State maybe exposed them a little bit. Now, that being said, Arkansas is not some team that's going to expose anybody with X's and O's, because Calipari is not your X's and O's guy like the Utah State coach is, who's just fantastic. However, this is a big however. Acuff is so good that he can take over a game even with a team of excellent talent that Arizona has. Also, Arkansas got through a very, very tough second round, and it wasn't a knock on them. They were playing a very good team, and they basically have 6 players, Arkansas, with injury to Pringle and early season injuries. They're basically using a 6-man rotation. So they were playing a 6-man rotation on short rest against a very underrated and very athletic High Point team. And, it was actually a good win. It looked like a struggle, and it was, but it was legit. So now they're rested, and they still have Acuff, who can take over a game against anybody. They're still hyper-athletic. Yes, their X's and O's aren't good, but that's kind of Calipari's thing, to let the athletes play. Part of the reason he's able to get athletes is he's not teaching them 50 set plays. In fact, I don't know what he's teaching them, but, they do play hard for him, and I could see Arkansas's athleticism bothering anybody, including Arizona. So I think the line is technically about right, but I'd only be on Arkansas.
All right, let's go over to Friday. Friday, first game is Duke St. John's. Opened up 7, quickly went down to 6.5. There is a 7. There's 1-7 here at Westgate. So there you have it, 6.5, 7.
So Duke's another that's playing a little shorthanded. They got the I don't know, I can't pronounce his name. He got back last game, played like 15 minutes, I believe. So Duke obviously was in trouble in the first round, and would have been in bigger trouble if they called that second foul on Boozer. But they don't call anything on Boozer. He can kind of do what he wants, and much like Cooper Flagg last year got away with murder, this is the latest in the series of Duke players that does kind of what he wants on the court and gets special dispensation. That being said, Duke is a very, very talented team. They imposed their will on TCU and won rather handily, which was one of my few winners in the second round. And on the other side, we have St. John's, who destroyed an overmatched Northern Iowa team, which surprised me. They're impressive. And then really had Kansas dead and buried. They should have won that game by 100. But St. John's kind of got a little sloppy. And their inability to hit three-point shots, although they were 11 out of 35 in the Kansas game, they had wide open look after wide open look after, and just didn't make them. And that's their hole. That's their flaw in their whole thing. Pitino is excellent at preparing his team, especially defensively, maybe even elite. And I'm sure he's going to make Cameron Boozer's life miserable. They have a big guy that Boozy, I guess his name is. They play so hard, St. John's, that they're very, very uncomfortable to play against. And if there's one thing that Duke teams have been lacking sometimes is toughness. I could see St. John's making Duke's life miserable here, and although I think that St. John's struggles their three-point shots, they're not going to win. But for some reason, if they find their outside shooting in this game, they could pull the upset for sure.
Okay, so would you lean
That doesn't mean I'm telling you to bet St. John's, but I'm just a lean, yeah. My number's 5.5, just so you know.
That's what we wanted. All right, let's go to the next one. Connecticut, Michigan State. Connecticut opened up 1, quickly went to 2, and that's where we stand. There's a couple 1.5s, but mostly 2s.
I kind of expect that game to go down. I'm big time against Michigan State last round, and I was on Connecticut last round, so I kind of slanted towards Connecticut and slanted against Michigan State. That being said, I do like UConn here. My number's 4, which I know seems kind of high given that they haven't been world beaters. They were life and death with Furman. Yeah, it was without their point guard, yes, but still. And Hurley went on and praised Bob Ritchie, the coach of Furman, and predicts that he'll have a big job next year, which I'm surprised hasn't happened a long time ago. Ritchie's a great coach, and Hurley's great in press conferences. His honor and his integrity comes from his dad, and he just a straight shooter with class, a rarity in today's world. So I really respect Dan Hurley. And Izzo also. Izzo, in his press conference, Jeremy Fears broke some assist record or something, and Izzo didn't talk about how great Fears is. Izzo talked about how much Fears has grown as a person, not only as a basketball player, but also as a person, and then went on to talk about how coaches are no longer people who, that mattered more to Izzo than winning the game. And he said coaches have completely lost that thought, that flavor, that they're there to help men grow up, help kids grow up and become men, not win basketball games. That's part B to it. And he went on a whole rant about it. He was 100% right. That's the old school approach to coaching. I love Izzo. He's doing an amazing job this year. He's worked with Fears a ton. He's become an elite point guard. His big men are playing great. The team's improved a ton this year. I did not expect them to be this good. So props to Izzo, but I just think Connecticut's ceiling is way, way higher. And Hurley also has an elite coaching staff. And yeah, it seems like they've struggled a little bit. They struggled with Furman, and UCLA was right in the game, even without Tyler Bilodeau. And then they made a call that was probably not very good, and Cronin lost his mind and got a technical, and the game got blown open late. So UConn seems to have been struggling. They had their struggles late in the year. I still think this is an elite team. I think the Big East final against St. John's, where Caravan was completely taken out of the game, I think they learned a lot from that. Now Caravan is moving way better without the ball, and he's going to take over games, and he took over the UCLA game. He was just unstoppable, which Cronin praised him for his loyalty to the program and doing things the right way. So it's a bunch of old school interactions here, and I just think Connecticut's a better version of Michigan State, and I expect them to win. I also think the line's going to go down, so I'd be laying 1.5 for a pretty big bet.
Okay, Circa has 1.5 and MGM.
I think you'll see it easy. I think it's headed back towards 1.
And let me ask you now, Circa has a money line of minus $1.21. Would you take that over the minus 1.5? I know 1's not the big number, but it's still.
It's 2 bets though.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're paying 11 cents for that?
11 cents.
No.
Okay.
I don't think I would.
Okay, good. So 1.5.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
Minus $1.10. All right, let's go on to the final.
I think I'd rather lay the 1.5.
All right. Again, that's Circa and Bet.
Even though it's 2 bets, games so rarely fall 1. But that's something the computer could tell you.
But today's Tuesday, so you could just wait until Thursday. You think this game may go down? Maybe it's a Michigan State money?
Should I say it must be Belgium, or is that too old for people?
Too old.
That's where my mind goes, sorry.
All right, let's go to Michigan, Alabama. This game open 10, still 10, everywhere.
My number is slightly lower. Alabama has run roughshod, just bombing threes, and the speed of the game is making teams uncomfortable. Unfortunately, they're facing Michigan, whose best game is probably unbeatable. They have elite depth. They have elite length, 1 through 5. However, and this is a good however, Alabama has the style that could beat anybody. Their speed, getting to their spots to shoot threes, is elite, and I'm not sure no amount of coaching can stop that. if they have a red-hot day from three-point land, they certainly can make this game very, very interesting. Dusty May is not really, he can go either way, but I think he'd be better off trying to get this game into a half court where his superior height up front dominates. I'm not so sure that's what he'll do, and I'm not so sure Alabama will even let him do it. Alabama will sacrifice good shots to get the game helter-skelter at times, and sometimes those bad shots go in. And if that happens, this could be a trouble. Alabama winning or Michigan winning by 50, neither would surprise me. The only way I'd go is Alabama, and not for much.
What did you make the game? What number?
8.
8? Okay.
I don't like my number, though. Feels a little light.
All right, let's go to Iowa State, Tennessee. Iowa State opened up 4. There's still a 1-4. No, I'm sorry. There's 2 4s on the screen, mostly 4.5s.
Yeah, so I guess Jefferson's return is happening. That doesn't mean he'll be 100%, and they seem fine without him, but he is a really, really good player. My line in this game is only 2, maybe 2.5, so I'm definitely going to bet Tennessee for some amount of money. My issue is it's Otzelberger against Rick Barnes, and I am never going crazy with the inferior coach. Otzelberger's just done an incredible job at Iowa State. His defensive principles are fantastic. And in a different way, Tennessee's are too. So it's a battle of who turns the ball over less. And I don't know if there's any way you can emulate Iowa State's defense. And if Tennessee is able to, Tennessee's athletic enough where they should be able to handle it. But Rick Barnes' teams in the past have struggled with playing sound basketball for 40 minutes. And that's my only worry. Otherwise, I think this would be a great bet. I think this line is really high, given it's Tennessee, Iowa State, and given Jefferson might not be 100%.
All right, so we got to play on the dog there. I have a question from Mike Zhang, who was here last week from Dallas.
Yeah, Mike was great. Thanks, Mike. Your questions were extremely relevant, and your analysis of the Tulsa game was bang on.
You know what? It's actually first. You have any opinion on the 4 NIT games?
No.
No? Okay.
I made every single game exactly what it is.
Okay. All right.
The NIT was good last weekend.
Yeah.
Actually scooped it.
Cal was a good game for us. Mike said, I love you and Alan. If you don't mind, can you ask Alan on the show on behalf of me? I see 2 dogs winning outright this Thursday, Iowa and Tennessee. What are his thoughts of outright upsets?
Yeah, no, we just went over those games, and I absolutely think both teams have an excellent chance to win. Like I said, I like Iowa. I just think the line might go up, and I just went over the whole Tennessee spiel. So, yeah, they're not big dogs. I mean, just mathematically, which I'm sure Mike is good at. You know, a team's a $1.50 dog. They're going to win 2 out of 5 times. So it's not just on math alone. It's not out of the realm. But I made the Nebraska-Iowa game pick, and I think Iowa's coach is far superior. So I actually think they're probably a favorite to win the game. And then the only knock is there. I kind of think that, you know, they played twice, and Nebraska won the first time, Iowa won the second time, and that whole zigzag thing might have some relevance. But with a 4-day prep and McCollum, I just think he'll have something sneaky prepared for Nebraska that they won't be expecting, and I think they'll beat them. And yeah, Tennessee, if they can handle Iowa State's pressure, their talent's probably slightly better. I shouldn't say that. I'm not a talent expert, but it's at least even, especially with Jefferson probably not 100%. So, yeah, for sure they have a good chance to win. Okay. Except it's Rick Barnes trying to win a big game, and that's he'll screw it up probably. That's the problem.
All right, the kid, Philly local kid. Thanks a ton for last week and the season. Breaking down each game was awesome. What teams would Allen look at setting up a mechanical parlay or hitting in the futures market for the Sweet 16? Or any team, that's the first question. Would there be any mechanical parlays at this point, instead of betting a future to win it all? Would you pick anything, maybe money line, parlay in the money, instead of going with the?
You know, when Florida got knocked out, I didn't look at who's playing who or who's playing what. Now I thought Florida had the edge, and now it's probably Michigan who has the edge. Especially if they meet Duke, where they lost them the first time, and they were the better team the first time. They just didn't go their way. Yes, so Michigan's definitely the favorite, but they have a tricky game, and Duke has a tricky game. Like I can see all these teams losing. I don't think Arizona's going to win. I've seen that they're exploitable in ways, and not many, but I just have a hunch Arizona's going to put a clinker in at the wrong time, and it just might be this week against a uber talented Arkansas team. So I have no thought to offer. UConn, I guess, is the one team that I think is sneaky, but their draw is brutal and has been.
His second question, any teams he would continue to go against? The no markets at Chris are Arizona -410, Duke -560, Michigan -395. That's the no's.
Again, I don't know who they play in the next rounds, but probably I don't know. The math at this point is probably close to accurate. Like there's only a few games left, and they know about who they're going to play. So I doubt there's really any kind of edge in them, and I don't really think I have any of those teams really over or underrated. I mean, I would know Duke and Arizona because I think Michigan lays over them, but I think I could see Michigan losing this week, even though they completely lay over Alabama. Alabama's the kind of team that they bomb in threes, they're going to beat you. There's nothing you can do.
This is more of a comment I thought we should mention because I find it so cool when someone is.
How about the guy who didn't think my Georgia analysis was good? Do we have his comment on there?
No, that was erased. We erased it. Now he's blocked for life. He can't even watch the show.
Oh, that's too bad.
What did he say? He said he got mad at George. He got mad that
he made some point about Georgia that he said I was wrong about. But he, of course, he didn't hear what I said. I said Georgia only played well in situations where they were expected to, or words to that effect. But he completely ignored that. And then something about SMU. By the way, SMU lost as a big favorite, and Georgia got blown out. So, F you, buddy. Too bad you can't hear it.
Alan didn't curse. Wow. All right.
I'm trying not to. We're a classy joint.
This guy,
or not.
This guy was, and by the way, 130 good comments on the show. We really appreciate you guys, your comments, subscribes, likes. Thank you very much.
What's the point of saying something negative? I'm trying to talk about 68 teams off the top of my head.
Yeah,
go find someone else to do that on. Go watch the Sports Action Network where they know absolutely nothing about basketball and listen to what they say. Go nitpick them. Because every single sentence you can nitpick them.
Didn't your parents teach you, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it? Weren't you raised right?
I wasn't taught that, but
not you,
still.
Them. Yeah.
My parents did teach me right from wrong, though.
That's right. No, but we are open to constructive criticism.
Of course, that's how you learn.
In a nice way, yeah.
That's how you learn. When Michael made his comments, I said, you got it exactly right, buddy.
Right.
It wasn't a criticism, it was a comment.
Right.
Had he criticized me, I think maybe you got this wrong for this reason, I would have loved to have heard it.
Yeah. This is just a comment I thought was really cool. Wish I could be there with 10 guys. Love the shows. Also, he said, oh no, unfortunately, I live in Australia, or else I'd love to be there.
Well, we'll fly out there and do it. That's if they let us in. Unless they've lost their minds over there too, but that's for another day.
This is Dave Harris on Twitter. The total seems low, but Alan doesn't do totals. Seems low on Iowa, Nebraska. The total.
They played 52-51 the first game. They played low in overtime the second game. They're very, very familiar with each other. Iowa will not get in a track meet with Nebraska. Right, okay. 52-51 in the first game.
It's 132.5.
Yes, I don't think the total's that low. There's no way Iowa wins a fast game with Nebraska. And Sturt's kid plays all 40 minutes, never makes a mistake. That being said, Florida completely botched that. You had to double Sturt's. Don't let him get the ball. And if someone else makes a play to beat you with a three, so be it. But Florida, they shouldn't have been down to the inbounder. They should have been behind the guy. You can't let someone get loose like that. Never mind Sturt's. It was terrible. But, yeah, no, that game is going to be a half-court grind, and I don't think it's too low. Instinctively.
See someone on Twitter, he thought he was right about things, but he admits to being wrong. He said, I haven't watched Allen in years. I probably thought he was maybe washed. Wow, am I wrong? Last week's video was incredible. So, nice tournament that he hasn't watched in years. He said, I just didn't know what he was doing. I thought it was nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Skolansky. Stephen Patty wants to know, do you have any David Skolansky stories to share? I didn't.
No, I didn't like him.
Oh.
So good riddance.
All right. And that's that with him. This was an interesting week here that we had. We had lots of great comments.
That sounds mean, but too bad.
Yeah, I think you're just blunt. You don't mean to be mean. You're not.
No, I don't care.
You're not.
We all die, so he's dead. See you later.
Yeah, you're not trying to disrespect him.
Never affected me in a positive way.
Did you ever meet him? You meet him? Yeah. A couple times. Better not get into the stories. He just died. Let's talk about Mike Matusow instead, though. You did his podcast.
Yes,
that
sir.
went very well. Right? Went good.
I don't know.
That's what he said.
He said it went well.
With Brandon.
What does he know, though?
Who's the other
He
guy?
doesn't know anything. Oh, Cantu, yeah, my hero.
Brandon Cantu.
Yeah, Helmuth was missing.
Helmut was missing.
He was the third member. They're all good. They're all good guys.
I was just gonna say, those guys get a lot of flack. I guess because of the way Phil is at the table, but outside, away from the table, I know he's helped a lot of people. I know he's actually done some really good things.
He's very well liked outside the table, off the table. Yep.
Yeah. No.
Supposedly a very good-hearted dude, and I know Matusow to be that too. And Cantu is harmless. Cantu is a bit self-destructive, but that's okay. We all are.
One day he ran into me at Hard Rock, and he asked me for a game. I said, well, I really don't bet a lot on baseball this time of the year. Just give me a game. Kansas City Royals, he bet $25,000 in front of me. I couldn't believe it. I thought he was betting like a dime or two. And he won, by the way, that game. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce your name. A-N-G. Maybe it's Ange. Ange Invenziano. If I was in Vegas, I would have been front row with you guys, Boston and Crack. Getting Boston back into the spotlight. I absolutely love this. He's a national treasure. I just like a good comment like that from somebody that's an old. You could just see
National treasure.
I don't know about national treasure, but you're somewhere in there.
I would be if anyone big got involved with this.
Yeah. No. Everyone says these comments are amazing. Dude is electric. They love this guy.
I'm not bragging. I know what I'm doing. Like, I've been doing this a long time. I'm a moron in a lot of ways, but not in this way. So, like I said, I challenge all these people who want to put negative shit on there. Go find someone else who's going to talk without a note, doesn't know what's coming, just answer the questions off the top of his head. Yeah, I'm immersed in the sport during the world, but it doesn't mean I have to recall every single freaking game right. Like,
there's a place.
Yeah, you want to nitpick one sentence. Well, you weren't even right about it either. Like, go find someone else to do it. The answer is you won't.
The next comment was exactly being able to recite all of this from memory, from the name of the coach to who they played in December is amazing. Big respect to Alan.
Thank you.
Truth Teller said that. Truth Teller, that's his name.
Truth Teller.
The next guy came here, I totally missed this, and I apologize, sir. I came here from Chicago to watch you guys last week. He was here.
We met someone from Chicago.
That's got to be him. Chicago's finest. Great time today. I enjoyed meeting you and Alan, both class acts, my kind of people. So these are the kind of comments that we got. Boston's a gem, analytic. I mean, just some fantastic comments. Sometimes I'll go to those negative comments too. Why do I do that? It's an internal thing that, not just because I'm right about everything. I'm wrong on things for sure, but I'll do that too. Alan, like I said, 130 positive comments. But, just the way, the tone of text behind anonymity sometimes. But hey, if you want to be an asshole, you're going to be blocked for life. Won't get to see any of the content ever, and you're out of your misery if that's the way I want to say it. Mr. Chemical AT was here. He helped us carry things in last week. I just met him for the first time. Had fun being there last week. Great to hang with you guys. Great to hang with so many like-minded individuals. He was the real big guy that was here last week.
There were a lot of big guys.
There was some big guys here last week. Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't support the food bill.
This guy, Kevin Clunan, this is before me. This is probably before I actually knew you. I just knew of you. I look forward to Alan Boston breakdown of the tournament. I used to listen to him on the old 2+2 podcast, talking March Madness. That was fantastic. What was that? Is that a poker podcast?
It's a poker podcast where I was the 7 stud pro at Full Tilt, and I was on Poker After Dark, which was No Limit Hold'em. And they asked me a question. They pulled me away from the table. Shauna Hyatt, who's hot, like incredibly hot.
Oh, I remember her.
Yeah. Like,
oh yeah.
TV doesn't do it justice. In person, just forget it. Like, anyway, she pulls me away from the table and asks, "How does a 7-card stud / sports bettor end up in a No Limit Hold'em tournament?" And the first thing I said is, "Do I have to stare at the camera or can I stare at her?" And they said, "No, you can stare at her." I said, "Well, that's a good start." I said, "And that's a great question. So let me think about it." And I answered it in the following manner. This is off the top of my head now. And this is one of the proudest moments of my life. I like to think of myself as an iconoclastic anachronism or an anachronistic iconoclast, whichever you prefer. However, No Limit Hold'em became so relevant and so popular that even I had to conform. So here I am. In other words, I'm a guy who goes against the grain, doesn't give a shit what the rest of the world does. I'm going to do my thing. But Norman Holden got so big that even I had to participate in it. And of course, Ali Jabab, whatever the hell his name is, said that won't play well in Peoria. I said, actually, Bradley University in Peoria, it's a college town. They'll probably understand what I said. I said, and by the way, why do you want to take any intelligence away from this show? Like, you want to hear all the cliches that Jamie Gold and Mike Matisow say, and the magician? They don't say one intelligent thing. See, the one intelligent thing that said, you want to get rid of it. Yep, they cut it out. So anyway, I was playing a Norman Holden tournament. I hadn't played 100 hands in a Norman Holden tournament. No, I have no idea how to play. So I took a lot of flack on full tilt from the 2+2 crowd. That being said, 2+2 gets a hold of me. Would you do an interview? I did, and that's when these people who were shitting on me, because I wasn't a Norman Holden player, and I never admitted to be, by the way. I was a 7-stud pro, and I am good at 7-stud. I found respect. They liked the honesty. They liked the self-deprecation. They liked the fact that I admitted I'm not that good. And what they most liked was when there was this big argument back then, who's better live or online? And I'm a live player, and these kids are all online. I said, well, of course the online kids are better. They get way more reps at a very young age, and they're going to be 100 times better than anyone live. And I became more of a regular, especially during the NCAA tournament. I go over the games, and I gave out a best bet every year, and it won like 9 or 10 straight years. And it would have won the 10th or 11th year. I forget what it was, but Nevada Reno got sick the night before. Their best player was on IV, was like 2 for 20 from three-point land. And they still missed 2 wide open threes to cover the game. So that was my last time on, and I don't know why they haven't had me on since. Maybe because I gave out a loser. Maybe because the podcast died. I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed doing those, and good for the 2+2 kids who didn't respect me, and nor should they have, as a poker player, but understood that we're all human beings, and just because I'm not any good at Nolan Holm doesn't mean I'm a bad dude. So yeah, good community.
Well, one thing they should do is never fire this girl, because she really does her job, and some, promoting the poker tournaments and trying to get 11 people in there for a tournament. All right, YZ Live Guy follows us every week, comments, thank you, sir. Effing awesome show every week, but especially this week for March Madness. I don't bet too much college basketball myself, but I tailed 3 of Mr. Boston's picks that I thought stood out from his enthusiasm. So far, I'm 2-0. I don't know what the third one was. Thank you, Boston. I have one last pick on Friday left. To do all those breakdowns by memory is awesome. You can tell he's a seasoned vet. Keep living the dream, fellas. Thank you. 2 thumbs up. So thank you. We want to thank you.
Thank you. I wish I could say it was my dream, but it's not.
Keep living the dream, fellas.
Okay.
Yeah. Another guy from across the pond. Thank you, from England.
The dream is New York Prime in Myrtle Beach, but
yeah, New York Prime has. By the way, they have a second location in.
Screw that.
Boca Raton, just as good. Oh God, classy, elegant. But the one in,
we can't get it bought for us.
Oh yeah, we get it comped in Myrtle Beach. I forgot about that. That's the important part. Sorry. Thank you, sir. He knows who he is. Myrtle Beach, and that's the nicest, classiest restaurant in Myrtle
Banana
Beach.
cream pie.
Banana cream pie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alan can do more than one slice, even there. Just to
Alan will eat the whole fucking thing.
Alan will eat the whole.
I'll get sick, but I'll eat it.
The person came out. I knew it.
And I never have dessert. I'm like,
yeah, he doesn't.
I'm nuts with fitness.
Alan really don't eat desserts. One time where were we, in Rhode Island?
Oh yeah, the Ocean House. Yeah.
Ocean House.
Yeah, it was the ironic part of the meal. I ordered 2 desserts. Crack ordered 1. Like,
yeah.
You wouldn't have bet that as the favorite.
No, that wasn't the favorite, and you would have lost a lot of money. Well, I
don't remember. They're all good.
Alan took us to this place, Ocean House. He said, "Listen, you have to go to a couple places. Like, these are historic, beautiful, and reasonable. Really."
Yeah,
right?
the guy don't rob. The guy who owns this place donated $28 million to renovate a movie theater downtown.
There you go.
Just here.
There you go.
And then I found out the bookstore I get my books at, it had closed down. It reopened. I said, God bless that guy who renovated theater. He said, well, he got us reopened too. I said, oh wow. So here's a guy who owns the 2 nicest properties in the state of Rhode Island. It's the only 5-star hotel in Rhode Island. Doesn't rob you on the prices. Makes you feel like a king. It's a real old school place. It's right on the ocean. Now the rooms, don't get me wrong, if you want a nice suite there, designed by world-class designers, it's like $4,000 a night.
They're crazy.
But who cares? You're treated like a king for a night for $4,000. You stay in a beautiful room on the ocean. Like, if I had money, I would do it. but he does not charge a lot for dinner.
But the restaurant was reasonable and so classy. Like linen service. I mean, it was just.
He has a fixed dinner that's fantastic too.
We went to 2 places like that.
The other one was the Weekapaug Inn, which is his sister property, which is on the harbor. Ocean House is on the ocean out in Watch Hill. That's where Taylor Swift and a bunch of other rich people live. Like every house is bigger than the next, and they're all on the ocean. It's ridiculous. It's like, who even lives like this? And they're only there like 2 months a year. It's nice having money. Anyway.
How about this guy, Randall Jindy? Sorry if I was pronouncing your last name wrong. Crack, you must get Alan on back as soon as possible. He's on every week, just to let you know. He's the only one who has a clue about the game. After listening to his analysts, everyone else sounds like a clown.
Thank you. Probably accurate.
Did really well. Following him Thursday and Friday, man is really smart.
So just as an aside to that, most people in the world today are full of shit. They're espousing nonsense in an effort to make money, whether it be with blowing up their website, blowing up their tout service, blowing up their podcast, whatever. They'll say whatever they have to say, make it sound good, and hope for the best. I've been earning a living doing this since I was much younger, in 1988, and I have nothing in the skin. I'm not, Crack bought breakfast this morning. That's fun. That's enough for me to do this. I'm not making any money. I would never charge anyone. If someone offered me money, I'd tell them no. I'm doing this in the hope that someone either can learn something or enjoys it. And so the positive comments are cool. But I have actually done this. I didn't earn a living modeling, I assure you. I've only done it betting basketball and nothing else. There's no other place that I've earned in my life. These other people are attempting to earn a living by speaking words, not by living the life. So, yes, they're going to sound like clowns compared to me, because they are.
Coach East.
There you go. I just bragged.
Coach East just says, great job on everything. However, he said, I wanted to buy Florida. Just can't get over their inconsistent guard play. The bigs didn't do much depth. They blocked shots. They rebound. What's the reason why you think Florida actually lost outright in that game? I didn't watch that much.
They, despite being the much bigger, stronger team, Iowa out-physicaled them. I think their 60-point win in the first round, and they're being a big favorite in the second round, they went to sleep. It's just human nature. It was just too easy. We've been through this before. They pulled a million games out of their ass last year, and I think subconsciously they just weren't ready, and Iowa took it to them. And when they finally got their act together and finally did get the lead, they completely botched the end of the game. Very surprised that a Golden team would just butcher it. You don't let a guy run behind you and catch the pass. And I mean, it was just unbelievable. You cannot let Sturts touch that ball. You don't guard the inbound. You double team him. Don't let him beat you. And he did. He didn't hit the shot, but he made the play. So, yeah, I think Florida took Iowa lightly and paid for it. And they didn't have a horseshoe up their ass like they did last year, where they won every close game.
Ross Miller asks, Alan, please tell me your opinion on Hubert Davis.
I've already mentioned any chance again at Hubert Davis. I said it the last podcast.
Okay.
Any chance to bet against Hubert Davis is welcome, which is why it's VCU and nobody. And by the way, he proved why you want to bet against him. That was embarrassing what North Carolina did that game. That was an embarrassment. I'm almost surprised he's still the coach. I guess he's well-liked and he's probably a classy guy, but he's not a great coach.
Oh, yeah. Now, here we'll go. This guy, Johnny Dakota, of course, a fake name. Thank you. I hammered UCLA by any number based on this video and insight. Thanks again. Next guy came in. Andy McBride said, blame the coach. They should have covered. If that's your only takeaway, hasta la vista. Don't even watch us.
Is he serious?
That's what he said.
They're up 18 with 8 minutes to go.
If that's your only takeaway, pal, we don't need you.
Tyler Bilodeau didn't play. Corona wouldn't let him play. They had an 18-point lead. They completely went to sleep.
Thank you for
all Sky Clark had to do was hold on to the ball, and they cover. He's an 87% foul shooter.
There's like 5 guys in here. Thank you very much for. I guess another guy said Prairie View again. Another guy said Prairie View. And Prairie View, High Point.
Prairie View won.
Thank you again. Yeah, no, thank you again for High Point. For excellent analysis.
Right, go find someone to do a Prairie View Lehigh write-up.
Right.
Tell that guy to go fuck himself with the UCLA.
Hey, Kevin Stein asked this question. You said this last show, all handicap is guessing. All handicap, quote unquote, is guessing. I think Kevin's taken that differently.
He's taking it too literally, I think.
Literally, right? That's what I'm saying. So,
You're making educated guesses. How's that?
educated guesses.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, good.
That's better.
Yeah.
Because I'm not using a computer. A computer is more exact, right? It gives you exactly what your data inputs. I'm winging it. But winging it can be better because I can have subconscious thoughts or feelings from memories from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago of something similar that's won. And when I'm at best, those memories, that subconscious instinct rules. It doesn't rule like it once did because there's too many games and I'm getting old. But yeah, I can still beat computers. So I had a very good year this year, actually. Yeah. I'm actually proud of myself. It didn't start well.
Another guy. This guy is a national treasure. Whoa.
Great.
Right, thank you, Phil, for saying that.
I wish I could run the government.
Next guy.
We'd fire them all and we'd all keep our money.
Ed wins. Alan had some great insight about these games. However, for whatever reason, he loved this is the guy, I love your breakdown, just had a difference of opinion. I said I'd read it. He believes that the Ivy League tried to stay pure and fight the NIL. I think there's nothing wrong about pure schools in the Ivy League, and sports would be no different. They do not deserve to be placed on a pedestal for anything, including their approach to sports. Yeah, so he's saying, I disagree. He believes that the Ivy League tried to stay pure and fight the NIL. I disagree. There is nothing wrong with pure. There's nothing pure about schools in the Ivy League, and sports would be no different. They do not deserve to be placed on a pedestal for anything, including their approach to sports.
I said they weren't pure. I said they should have stayed pure.
Maybe he misunderstood, and he loves the show. Yeah,
they should have stayed pure. And I'm talking. I went through the whole rigmarole. The Ivy League played games on Friday, Saturday to minimize loss of school time. They got away from that. I think that's wrong. They took a conference tournament to give themselves a little more exposure. I think that's wrong. So those two things alone have allowed them to lose their purity, which to me is wrong. I'm not placing the Ivy League on a pedestal. I'm just saying the Ivy League is about education first and sports second, and you should go 100% or not at all. And they went somewhere in the middle, and I think that's wrong. I think it should be 100%. And yes, they should be placed on a pedestal if they stay pure, because college sports isn't about NIL money and allowing teams with the most money that make the most money for TV contracts to make the Final Fours every year. It's about kids supposedly getting an education and playing for the love of the game. Of course, that has nothing to do with it anymore. And the Ivy League should uphold that, and the Patriot League still does somewhat also. So I disagree. We could disagree on that.
Sean Ties, this is like right out of the movie Blow. If people only knew the level Boston was at in his prime, the guy bought a Ferrari online because he had no more room for the cash. I don't know if that's true, but
no, it wasn't true. It's me being self-destructive and crazy.
Okay.
I felt like buying a Ferrari. My friend found one, and we knocked him down a little bit and
bought it online.
Bought on eBay. My friend was an insurance adjuster. He knew what he was looking for.
Oh, okay.
He said, "Here's one. You want this?" I said, "How much?" 60-something thousand. All right. See if we can knock him down. So we did, and we bought it.
Zachary Well just have a comment here. Mark Pope can't coach his way out of a paper bag.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
That was really disappointing. I think Mark Pope did a poor job this year. I think he's a very good coach. The offense he ran at BYU was very, very difficult to stop. And he lost his point guard this year. He lost his other stud recruit. He dealt with a bunch of injuries this year. And maybe sometimes when you pay $22 million for a team, they're not going to try to run all this intricate stuff because they just don't care. They made their money. Why should we have to go and take a class on basketball? But that being said, he made very poor adjustments and it did nothing. And they looked completely lost in that NCAA tournament game. That was really embarrassing.
Cool. I think we're good. You guys have any questions? You guys good? Yeah, sure.
Any thoughts on tonight's IC game?
I have absolutely no opinion. I made every game exactly what it is. Yeah. Okay. I couldn't even stretch.
You said that earlier. I heard you when you said that.
Yeah, I made. I don't even know who's playing tonight, but I made Wichita. I made Tulsa 4.5, and who else plays? In case something moved, maybe something moved.
Yeah, let me just tell you what they are anyway. I did
good in the NIT last week.
Yeah, you did. Tulsa is -4 over Wichita.
Yeah, I made it 4.5.
New Mexico 10.5 over St. Joe's.
I made it 11.5.
Okay, there's 11s on the screen too. And then we go into.
Yeah, I mean, I could see New Mexico killing them. St. Joe's was 19 down to Cal. And New Mexico is just playing at a really, really high level. They have a legit monster home court. They have the best coach of the country. He is the #1 coach of the country, Eric Olin.
This might be.
So yeah, it's a tricky spot for St. Joe's. So I guess I could see New Mexico. Now that I'm talking about it, I probably go with New Mexico.
Okay. This
Small.
This is probably the biggest move so far of any of these games. Dayton opened up 5.5, up to 7.5 now over Illinois State.
It's like they wrong-footed there.
Yeah, they've been red hot. I made it 7, so I got nothing there.
And Auburn opened up 8.5. Now they're 9.5.
I got it 9.5.
Yep, over Nevada. So there we go.
Yeah, maybe New Mexico. I hate Nevada Reno. I'd love to bet against Auburn because they're a ratty team and the coach is an idiot. But
BetMGM -10.5. Pinnacle -10.5.
I can't bet Nevada Reno. I just can't do it.
So there you go. Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for, well, this will be up tonight. And appreciate you guys liking, subscribing.
Thanks for everyone for showing up. And this has been very flattering. I flew out here. I had no intention to come out here. I flew out here to do the meet and greet. And we had a nice crowd Sunday.
Now for coming out for Bob Anderson.
Bob Anderson, yeah. Bob Anderson, yeah, we're at the Italian American Club. Crack bought dinner the other night. Actually, his friend did. Really nice. Thank you, by the way. The other Alan.
Yeah. He went behind my back.
He went behind Crack's back, but Crack took care of the Bob Anderson thing.
Yep.
The older guy there has been there for 50 years. Yeah, we got it. Yep. Old school.
I got
you give him the money and.
Glad you were here, Alan. I can listen to you talk till I turn blue.
Thank
you very much.
Very nice.
I appreciate it.
You did a great job.
We'll be back in June. Thank you.
All right, Dave.